Yay. All right.
Okay, perfect. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Sheila, and I'm here with Dr. Calleja. And tonight she's going to talk about nuts and seeds.
Yes. Yes, nuts and seeds. And I'll be presenting and answering your questions. So if you are tuning in right now and you have any questions about what we're talking about, you can just go to the chat and I'll be looking at them. Okay. So like we've been talking about all the different types of plant foods that can give you the nutrition that you need. So, okay, good. Here it is. I'm sorry. I'm kind of new at this, but we'll make it work. Okay. So we've been talking about the different plants that give you your vitamins, minerals. We talked about fruits and vegetables. The different colors have different kinds of nutrients that you need, and your macronutrients, which are provided by your legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds. So nuts and seeds, I wanted to talk specifically about this because in all of nutrition history, there's always been this macronutrient that is vilified, or everybody's afraid. For a while, everyone was afraid of fat. So, we had that idea that fat made you fat. Now we know a lot more about the different kinds of fats that are healthy for us. But there's still a lot of ideas around nuts that we have to limit their consumption to just a very small portion because they'll give us fat and they will make us gain weight. So that is not true. So I do want to talk about that so that we can understand these wonderful nutritious powerhouses, because they're tiny little plant foods that give us so much nutrition. So I think and they're so tasty too. We can do so many things with them. So I think it's important that we get to know our different kinds of foods, all of them, so that we can make informed decisions. It's very different when you go to, hang on, I'm trying to see the, all right. It's very different if you get a list of foods or a menu or portions, and this is what you have to eat, and then you don't really question it, but you say, well, this is what the nutritionist said I should eat, so I'm eating this. It's very different than if you know your foods, if you know what the nutrition that they provide and how they benefit your health, and that way you can make your own decisions and you don't have to depend on a menu or depend on someone else deciding that for you. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen. And it's a short talk. I mean, there's a lot of culinary, but there's more culinary information out there than there is a lot about health. I mean, they're very healthy foods. And let's begin. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure I can look at your questions if there are any. Let me see. Okay, great. All right. So can you guys see my presentation? I can't see if you can see. Oh yeah, you can. All right. Great. Okay, good. All right. So the topic is nuts and seeds. And like I said, one of the main nutrients that nuts and seeds provide are fat. Again, we have that idea that fat makes us fat, but actually fat helps us transport hormones. It helps us in so many areas in our biology that we do need to eat fat, and we do need to have these foods in our diet, just like we have avocado and coconut and all of these other foods that can give us fats. But also nuts and seeds are a very important part. Not only they provide fat, but they also provide fiber, and nuts particularly provide protein. Some seeds also provide protein, like hemp seeds. Um, but mainly fat and fiber. They're also rich in magnesium, vitamin E, antioxidants. And like I said, they do not really affect the weight. This is something this is a myth. This is something that's just wrongful information that has been passed around. And nuts and seeds don't contain high amount. They mainly contain polyunsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, and omega-3, omega-6, and all of the good stuff that our body needs. So we really don't need to be afraid of them, because they provide a lot more benefits than they can harm. So they've been studied a lot, and lately, due to the rise of the research on plant-based diets, nuts and seeds have been studied a lot, and their benefits. So one of the things that that has been researched are its effect on chronic diseases. So mainly heart disease, certain types of cancers, um, cholesterol, all of these factors that can affect or that can affect the metabolic syndrome. It helps to prevent them, but they also help to lower cholesterol levels. They help to lower the risk of mortality in general. So they are a wonderful food to add to your diet. So these are the nuts. There's a lot of different kinds of nuts, but mainly almonds, pistachios, walnuts, cashews, pecans, macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, peanuts. And peanuts, we talked about it when we had the class on legumes. Peanuts are actually a legume, but because of their nutritional characteristics, they're considered a nut because they're a lot higher in fat than any other nutrient. So we'll put them in the area of peanuts, although they are actually a legume. So these right here, and I know that many of us love the taste of nuts. Here we have pine nuts, we have hazelnuts, and it's a really good way just to snack on food. A good thing that nuts give us too are satiety. So all of these good fats, they help us feel full. They help us, give us this feeling of satisfaction. So I don't know if you've noticed that if you eat fruit, just plain fruit, a little while later you're craving more food, you're kind of feeling hungrier. But if you add fruit and nuts, you will have satisfaction for a longer time. So nuts are a really good snack because of this, because they give us satiety and they give us the sense of fullness. It's also not just because of the fat, but because of their fiber content too. So they're very good also for digestive health. And seeds, mainly the seeds that we have are flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and pomegranate seeds. So these seeds, they're also high in fiber. They are hemp seeds particularly have the complete amino acid profile, so it is considered a complete protein. Let me see, I have some questions here that I want to answer so that I won't have to go back when I'm done. All right, I have a question about milk. When can we have fat-free milk? Um, on the second phase, you can start having, or the second week, you can start having fat-free milk. Or although I'm thinking that if you, my idea of milk is that if you like milk, just have the full fat milk. It's not necessary to have fat-free milk. So if you start phase 2 tomorrow, you can have fat-free milk tomorrow. If you like fat-free milk, if you like milk and you want to have whole milk, that's fine too. Um, what phase can you start eating nuts? So we depends on the way that you eat them. We'll talk about it right now, the different ways that we can have our nuts and seeds intake throughout the day. All right, so seeds mainly are the flax seeds. It's better if the flax seeds are ground. They're a lot more digestible. Chia seeds, hemp seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and pomegranates. Um, all of these are very easy to use. You can sprinkle them on anything. You can put them on soups. You can put them on your salad. You can put them in the smoothie. You can just sprinkle them on fruit. You can eat them any way. So also when we talk about bread, when we talk about flours later on, you'll see that it's also a very good way, if you are into making bread, to make it really nutritious. Just add a whole bunch of seeds. And I know that we've talked about bread before too. And one of the things that I recommend, that when you do choose bread, that it does have some seeds on top, because you know that you're getting all of these nutrients that seeds provide. So these are the main ones that we can find. Um, Flax seeds are very good for digestive health. Chia seeds are also a very good egg substitute. So if you're into baking, chia seeds, flax seeds too can be a good way to substitute egg. Hemp seeds have a complete amino acid profile, so it is a good source of protein. We've talked about the protein supplements that are when you don't want to have whey protein. Hemp is a wonderful option to substitute whey protein. Sesame seeds, we you can just sprinkle them on absolutely anything. Pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are very fun to eat, and also pomegranate. So the different ways that we can include nuts and seeds in our daily diet is roasted. So you can buy them in bulk. That's usually what I do. I just buy them in bulk, different different varieties, and I roast them. So you can either roast them on the stove top on a very hot pan, and just add them and move them continuously so that they won't burn. And or just move the pan around, or move them with a wooden spoon. You don't need to add anything until you can see that they are glossy and kind of their oils are, you can see their oils. That's when they're done. So you can do that, or if you want to add flavor to them, you can add some sea salt, you can add a little bit of honey, and that can also make it a very good snack. You can make your own trail mix this way too, roasting them with some sea salt or with honey, and then they're a wonderful snack to just have there, instead of reaching out for all of these junk food that sometimes we want because it's crunchy. Potato chips, it's the that salty crunchy feeling that we love about potato chips. Nuts can give this to us. So it's always good to have roasted nuts and seeds at home, so that you can snack on them whenever you feel that anxiety or kind of craving for something crunchy and salty. Nut butters and seed butters also. So here we have a picture of cashew. I don't know if you can see this. Let me just see. Okay, so here we have there. Here we have a list of the different types of butters that we can make. And I know that we've seen them on the supermarket, because here they are. We all know these brands, Skippy, Jif, all of these nut butters that we grew up with. But actually, they're very easy to make. You can make them at home. And if you look at I don't know if any of you are have some nut butters at home right now, or your peanut butter in your pantry, and you want to go get it, and you read the ingredients, they're full of ingredients. Skippy, Jif, they have different kinds of oils and maybe added sugars. All you need to make nut butters are the nuts. That's it, because their natural oils will help make them this consistency. So the real ingredient that you need when you are making your own nut butters is time, because it does take a little while to make them. If you have a food processor, we've talked about having a food processor at home is a huge lifesaver. You just roast your nuts, and you can add a little bit of sea salt when you roast them, or you can roast them on their own, add them to the food processor, and then add a little bit of sea salt to the food processor, to the nuts when they're already blended. Or you can add some honey, or you can add chopped dates, or if you want to get really creative, you can add cacao or cardamom or any other kind of herb or spice that can give it a different flavor. And all you have to do is blend them in the food processor. It does take a little while. First, it will turn like a little like dust, and then you can scrape the powdered nuts around from the edges, and then continue processing them until it's the consistency that you want. You can also add a little bit of coconut oil if you want to give it that um, flavor, and it does help also to make it softer. So it's really easy to make your own nut butters at home. But if you don't want to make your nut butters at home, or if you're like me, that whenever I make a nut butter, I will just eat it immediately because it's always so good. You can also buy a good quality nut butter, and it will be a good source of fat, a good source of protein, and a good source of fiber. So there's a lot of options that you can find on in the supermarket, and these are just some. This is a picture of them. So we have here Jif and Skippy. If you look at those Peter Pan, if you look at the ingredients in those, um, they have a lot of added ingredients. And there's other brands that are pretty good, like Justin's. So what I do recommend is that you read the ingredients. If the only ingredient is the nut and maybe salt and maybe something to give it flavor, then it's perfect. But if it has soy lecithin, if it has a high fructose corn syrup, if it has any other kind of ingredient that it does not need, I do recommend that you don't get it. Also, Whole Foods, I've seen it in Whole Foods. I don't know how many of you have a Whole Foods in your city, but they have these machines where you just put your nuts, and you can use a combination, and it'll make the nut butter, and you can buy the nut butter in bulk. So that's also a really good way of getting good quality nuts in a very delicious way. I am a huge fan of nut butters. I love nut butters, and um, cashew butter, macadamia nut butter, and if I can almond butter, I love it. So I always have different kinds of nut butters at home, or you can make your own and add some seeds to it too, and get really creative with this preparation, because nut butters are really easy. You can spread them on fruit to give you more satiety when you're trying to snack. You can spread them on a piece of bread. You can spread it really on anything. You can put it in your oatmeal. Also, a spoonful of nut butter in your oatmeal makes it really good. When you make hummus, also, if you want to make a bean dip or a hummus dip, you can use seed butters or nut butters to give it that consistency that we really like of these dips. So garbanzo paste goes really good with tahini, which is um, the sesame seed paste. So when you combine the garbanzo paste with the sesame seed paste, that's what it gives the really good flavor to hummus. So I do recommend that you explore all of these nut and seed butters, because there's tahini, you can make seed butters from pumpkin seeds. You can make them, or you can add chia seeds or flax seeds to other nuts, and just get creative. And always, if you buy them at home at a store, just make sure that you read the ingredients. So yeah, nut butters you can start having on the third week. The third week is a good way of including them is through the nut butters. But if you're making smoothies on the second week and you have a Vitamix or you have a very potent blender, you can add them to your smoothie. So if you guys remember when we talked about how to make your rainbow smoothies to make them very nutritious, adding nuts, I suggested that you always add nuts because it gives you satiety. So you're not just having the fruits and the vegetables, you're also having some fat that is going to make you feel full. So if you have a very good quality blender, a very potent blender, you can add them to your smoothies on the second week. Okay, so another way that we can have them are through milks. And I know it's also, okay, so Amy asked right now, can you eat peanut butter on full liquid? Like I said, if it's in a smoothie, you can. If it is just by itself, I do suggest that you wait because the consistency is a little bit more thick. So nut milks. Nut milks are very popular now since dairy has been having a very bad rap. So we started hating on dairy, and all of a sudden we all started drinking almond milk. But again, so there's a big difference from making your own nut milks at home and buying them at the store. It is a little bit more difficult with these because with the nut butters, they can last for a very long time because their oils will preserve them. So they don't need preservatives. They will preserve on in their own oils for a very long time. So when you make your own nut butter, if you make a big batch, it can last in your pantry for weeks. But it's not the same with nut milks because nut milks you add water, and anything that will have water will go bad, definitely. So if you make your nut milks at home, and we had a recipe on that when we talked about the rainbow smoothies too. Basically, what you have to do is just blend them with water. So what I do is when I make my own almond milk, I soak them overnight. So the almonds, the flesh will kind of come off. It doesn't come off completely, but as much as you can, take it off. So you soak them overnight, throw the water out in the morning, and then add more water. Try to take the flesh out, and then blend them, and then strain it with a cheesecloth or a very good strainer, and there you have your nut milk. So if you are trying to avoid dairy and you want that kind of consistency of milk, this could be a good option. But in terms of nutrition, it is not really giving you anything. So if you're thinking that your almond milk is a lot healthier than your cow milk, it really isn't, because it's just basically it's just water. So but it's a good way of having that sensation of drinking milk, because I know that a lot of us drink or eat dairy for the pleasure of eating or drinking it, not so much because of the nutrition that it gives us. So making your own milk at home is a good idea. But if you're going to buy a nut milk at the store, again, read the ingredients, because these do need preservatives. These will not last in your refrigerator for more than 3 days. So even if they're refrigerated, they will last very little. So these are some good options. So the ones that I've seen that are okay, the Silk Almond Organic is good with no sweeteners, no nothing, the plain one. And then we have, let's see, what other one? Milked almonds. This one is also a good option. Moolah is also a good option. Simple Truth also. And then you have all these other brands that are a little bit more commercial, that they have colorings, they have flavorings, they have sweeteners. So really what you need to watch out for is the sweeteners that if it's not a natural sweetener like honey or even sugar, if it has sucralose, or if it has all of these other hyper palatable sweeteners artificially that are not natural, then it's not a good idea to have them. Also the carrageenan, makes it thick. So to all of these nut milks, they will add thickeners, they will add colorings, they will add a lot of ingredients that you might not want to have in your food. So always read the ingredients and make sure that you choose the products that have the less number of ingredients. There's also they have like this machine that's called the milk cow. I don't know if you guys have heard. I'm sorry, the almond cow. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it makes your almond milk too. So it's a really easy way to make almond milk. And the problem with doing this too is that you will have a lot of pulp left over, and you will either have to throw it away or you can dry it up and use it as a flour. So if you are really into cooking, if you're into baking, and if you just love spending time in the kitchen, this is a great thing to do. Make your own almond milk and then the pulp, dry it up and use it as a flour. So here also I wrote flowers. Flowers are also a way that we can use nuts and seeds. And I know that a lot of us have heard of the almond flour, and I've had that question before, like, what is almond flour? What is the difference? Um, Almond flour is just basically ground flour. That's it. So when you're if you bake with it, if you make pancakes, it will not, because it's not the same density as other flours. Then your recipes will have to be modified according to the type of flour that you're using. So just make sure that if you are wanting to bake some cookies or pancakes, or you want to use almond flour or any other kind of nut flour, make sure that you get your ratios correct, because it's not the same as white flour. So that's another creative way of using nuts and seeds in your kitchen. Smoothies, of course, we talked about this. You can have them on the second week. It's a good way to add good fats. It's a good way to have that make them a little bit more filling. Cream sauce is also something that you can make with cashews. So cashews will make also, besides a cream sauce, if you are looking for vegan options to cream, cashews are a good option. Also, a salad dressing. I've made salad dressings with cashews and macadamia nuts. They're a good way to thicken or to have that consistency of a dressing. So that's also a good way to add them to your daily food. Egg replacement. So I don't know if you've noticed that when you soak chia seeds or when you soak flax seeds, it has like this gelatin consistency, and that could be used in baking instead of eggs. If you are trying to avoid eggs, if you are looking for vegan options, we can use chia seeds or flax seeds to substitute eggs in baking, and also in breaded dishes. So if you want to have a breaded chicken or breaded fish and you don't want to use flour, using ground almonds or ground nuts, ground any kind of ground nuts and seeds is also a good option to avoid using flour, and to also add some more nutrition and some good fats to your meal. So basically, this is the way that we can use nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are a wonderful source of nutrition. I really want us to understand that they are not something that we should be afraid of. And sometimes we are, and sometimes we're thinking, oh, I ate so many almonds. But you're not thinking of all the trans fats that you're eating in other products. So my recommendation is that if it's natural, if it comes from the ground, it is going to give you nutrition. So that is the case with nuts and seeds. They are plants. They are something that have a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals and all of these nutrients that are going to help us. So yes, we do have to take care of the calories and all of the food, but remember that your stomach is so small, you're holding so little food that you're not going to be eating a huge number of calories anyway. So we don't want to stress out about calories. We want to make sure that we get the nutrients that we need. And nuts and seeds can give us a lot of those. So basically, that's it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I think I have been answering as I see them. And I think I've answered all of them. So if there's no more questions, or if I'm not seeing them, then I think we are pretty much done.
That was great. I was listening.
Oh, good. Good. I don't know if I don't see any comments, so I don't know if I answered everything already or if there's
I think
something
you
else.
answered everything. I didn't see any that you didn't answer.
Why is sucralose? What is sucralose? Sucralose is Splenda. So it's an artificial sweetener that is used to replace sugar. Um, but it's the sweetness is so potent, and it gives you it's hyper palatable, and it stimulates your palate, and it wants you to eat more in the long run. That's why we should avoid all of these artificial sweeteners. But also, we've seen that it changes your microbiota, so your microbiome. So we've talked about it also in our class. I think that we sometimes cover that topic in our class at the hotel, that changes in your microbiome after surgery will change a lot of things in your biology. And it's one of the theories is that all of the food preference changes or hormonal changes come from that. So you don't want to you don't want to mess up your microbiome. So just try to avoid sweeteners. And sucralose is a sweetener. It's Splenda. And let me see, monk fruit. Monk fruit is a natural sweetener. um, I don't really see anything wrong with it, but sometimes these sweeteners are mixed with artificial sweeteners. So just make sure that if you are eating monk fruit, or if you are using monk fruit to sweeten your meals, um, make sure that it's 100% and that it's not mixed with any other kind of artificial sweetener. Why is it bad is what I meant to ask. Okay, 6 months post-op. All right, yes, Janet, and well, then that's what I mentioned. Sucralose is bad because it is the sweetness is a lot more powerful than sugar, and it kind of gives you that feeling of craving more sweet later on. Not just more sweet, when I don't know if you've noticed that when you eat something very sweet or that is made with artificial sweeteners, you kind of want more flavor. So whether it's salty, whether it's fatty, whether it's sugar, you just want more flavor. So that is something that happens with um, with artificial sweeteners, and it also messes up your microbiome, and we don't want to do that. We want to stay as healthy as possible. So I don't recommend that you use sweeteners at all. And makes sense. Thank you. All right, stevia. I know I've stevia is a plant actually. So if you're using stevia, the more natural, the better. So my recommendation for stevia is, if you can get a hold of the plant. Right, here in Mexico, you can buy the plant. I don't know if it's the same in other places. If you if you can buy the plant and just use a leaf to sweeten your coffee or your tea or whatever you're sweetening, it's fine. Also, there is 100% stevia extract that you can get in drops, or if it's ground, it's you use a really tiny amount. Just make sure that it's 100% stevia, because all of these brands like Truvia, Vitia, and the white powder, the stevia, but the white powder. When you look at the ingredients, it's mixed with sucralose. So they use these other artificial sweeteners to make it more in quantity, because the amount of stevia that you need to sweeten something is very little, because it's like 700 times more sweet than sugar. So so my recommendation again, if it comes in a package, read the ingredients always. If you're getting the plant, then I mean, there's really no ingredient that comes with stevia. If you're buying the extract that says 100% stevia, just make sure we go to the ingredients. Just make sure that it's just stevia. But if you're buying the white powder, the little packages, it's definitely mixed with something. So read the ingredients, and I'm sure you'll see that it's mixed with sucralose. On our next class, well, no, not on our next class. Our next class, we'll be talking about supplements, but the one after that, we're going to be talking about culinary ingredients. So our culinary ingredients are all of these ingredients that are used to cook, to flavor our meals, to make our meals a lot more pleasurable. So basically fat, sugar, and salt, or yeah, fat, sweet, and salt are anything that gives us those tastes are culinary ingredients. So we'll talk about that in a class, and we'll talk about specifically artificial sweeteners, trans fats, the oils that we should use to cook with, and all of these other ingredients that we sometimes don't pay attention to a lot because we use in such a little quantity, but it adds up. So we want to be as healthy as possible. So anything that we can do to eat right and to eat natural and to eat whole will always be better. And again, this is just information that you can take to make your own decisions. It's not something that we're obligating you to do. It's just recommendations. So, all right. If you guys don't have any more questions, then we are done for today. And we will see you next Tuesday. Right, Sheila? Yes? No? Okay. All right.
Sorry. I was like, wait, I couldn't find the unmute button. Yes, next
Okay.
Tuesday. Sorry.
Okay, great. All
All right,
right.
perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you guys for logging in, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Buenas noches, Janet.
Bye.
Thank you, Sheila. Bye.